Hello, I'm Lene Ludick, your TA for CEE 4405, and today we will be going over the direct shear strength test. For this test, the materials you'll need is your small wooden plank, your large wooden plank, your coarse sand and your fine sand, your spring scale, which comes in this white cardboard box, a piece of paper, a plate, a plastic bag, and for you to provide on your own some type of weight. For this, we'll be using books. The first step for this lab is to weigh the provided weights that you chose. As I mentioned previously, we chose 3 books, and so I'm going to weigh them all individually. In order to weigh them, I'm going to need my plastic bag and my spring scale. I'm going to put a book in the plastic bag and then hook this on my spring scale and make the reading. First though, you want to make note of where your spring scale lies initially. If it's right at the 0 gram line, then you're good. If it's not, twist this white knob up or left or right until the tan plate is in line with your 0 gram notch. So in order to weigh it, you have your weight in your bag and your spring scale hooked to your bag, and from there you can read it, and we are reading about 225 or 30 grams. We'll say 230 grams. Next, we will need our large wooden plank, our small wooden plank, the piece of paper, your coarse grained sand, the plastic spoon, and the small plastic cup. The first test we'll be running is on a loosely packed coarse grained sand. So you'll take your piece of paper and your large wooden block and place the wooden block over the paper. You'll then take your small wooden block and place that on top of your large wooden block so that the 2 circles are lined up with each other. You also want to make sure that the open end of the hook on the small wooden block is facing up. Next, you'll take your coarse grained sand and pour it into the circles or holes in your 2 wooden planks, and pour it in a fashion that makes it loosely packed. So that's really just pouring it without compacting it. One of the easiest ways to do that is to first pour it into your cup and then pour it from there. Might help you not spill as much. You want to continue pouring until your sand is just above the smaller wooden plank, the hole in the smaller wooden plank. Try not to spill too much sand, as you will need to reuse some of this. Continue adding a little more sand. If it's easier to do that with a spoon at this point, then that's fine too. And then you're done. The next step for this is that you will take your plate and rest it on top of your sand. Make sure that the plate is not in contact with the wood. Instead, it's just resting on top of the soil itself. You'll then take your weight, in this case we are using a book, and place that on your plate. And then you will take your spring scale and hook it around your hook, and for now, rest it on your wooden plank. Now, what I suggest in order for you to record the data best is use your own personal phone or camera at home and actually take a video of it. You can ask a family member or a friend to help you with this, or if you have a way of setting up the phone on your own. The idea is that when you pull on your spring scale, you want to be able to record with video what measurement the spring scale is at. Now that you have your entire experiment set up, we will start pulling on the scale very gently and softly. Make sure that when you start, your scale is at the 0 marking. So I'm going to pull it first, and you're going to see a little bit of slippage. You'll see a larger amount of slippage. Now, the best way to unload this to ensure that we're not losing much of the sand that we tested on is to go ahead and remove your weight, the spring scale, and then go ahead and slide the small plank back over its original hole. You can remove the plate then at this point, and then together lift up both of the planks. Some sand will spill, so make sure you're not doing this in an area where you don't want any sand grit or anything, but you can go ahead and remove slowly, and then you should end up with a nice pile of sand left on your piece of paper. And then you can save this sand by going ahead and replacing it back in the original bag that you had your sand in. And then you're ready to repeat this process for a loosely packed coarse grained sand using 2 books, then 3 books, and then we'll do the same process for a densely packed coarse sand, and then again repeat all of these processes for a fine loosely packed sand and a fine densely packed sand. The next test we are going to run is going to be on a densely packed coarse grain sample. How we are going to pack this is we are going to start with just our wooden plank on top of our piece of paper and pour a little bit of soil in, maybe halfway to the top of the larger wooden plank, and then using our fingers we can kind of compact it, or if you would like to use the cup, then you can compact it with your thumb. Maybe really just keep pushing down on the sand a little bit and then add it in varying layers. So now I'm going to try to fill it up maybe 2/3 of the way to the top of the large wooden plank, and again compact it with my fingers, or if your cup fits you can go ahead and use the bottom of your cup to compact. Now you can go ahead and add your smaller wood plank to the top and continue compacting in this fashion. Fill it up a little bit past the line that separates the 2 wood planks, and compact this with your thumb because the cup won't fit. Fill it up a little bit more. At this point, you should be able to use your cup again for compaction. And then now I'm just going to fill it in a little bit slower using my cup. And make sure again you're filling it above the top of the hole in the small plank and compacting it one last time. If after the last compaction you're still not above the top of the hole, you can go ahead and add a little bit more soil and compact that. Now once again, when you have everything set up in place, you can go ahead and gently start pulling on your scale. Make sure that your scale initially starts at the 0 marking, and then you can start adding.